What's up, everybody? It's your favorite last Siege review you're going to see for a while's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Ultra Magnus. This concludes my Siege reviews, I think, for a while. I've got enough now. Thank you all. I appreciate people being interested enough in my opinion on it to send it to me. I do appreciate it, but I think I have enough to form an opinion now under my belt. I've looked at 4 or 5 pieces, I think, and I think I get it. That being said, this is on loan to me from Ken as well. Now let's start with accessories. You get his 2 signature shoulder rocket launchers with the red paint added to the tips and tons of hollow bits that I don't think bother me. They plug in here to the side and I think work fairly well. And to be fair, they plug into any 5mm port, so you can do pretty much whatever you want with them wherever you find one. And you can plug them into the side of the truck mode on both as well. And he comes with a big ol' I don't care how much your mama loves you gun. Lots of hollowness, but sculpted beautifully. Silver paint on there on top of red plastic and looks pretty good. That also plugs into 5mm ports, but he can also hold it. And your gun can also sit here in the center if you'd like. Now, let's talk about the figure. So the first thing that bothers me about this thing right from the giddy up are the proportions. This area seems too long. This area seems too short. I think it's the thighs. I think the thighs are too short. I think that's what's throwing me off. I don't care for that one bit. We'll also go ahead and talk about the weathering here. Since we're here, it's a mixed bag. So it looks pretty good on the chest. A little heavy-handed at parts, but overall better than, say, the Shockwave. Down here looks like a mess, and the thighs look like a mess. So once again, quite a mixed bag. They did do the inside forearm, not the outside forearm where you probably would want it, but we got the inside forearm that doesn't look terrible. And let's see on this side. Same on this side, a little bit more heavy-handed. So mixed bag, not done extremely well overall. Head sculpt looks great. Silver paint on the face, blue paint on the eyes over top of black paint, it looks very sharp. And then we have the silver on the antenna, which also look good. Head is on a ball peg, I think. Yes. You get limited up, a little bit down, side to side. Nothing really for the confused dog look. It's kind of fine. It'll kind of get you the bare essentials of what you need. Shoulders operate on basically a universal. It's done very low, which is also not great. Like, it should be up about here. Might be another thing adding to my proportion issues. And then we have a bicep swivel as well as the full swivel around. Some hollow bits inside there, but it's fairly hidden, so you don't really see that, which I'm okay with. Wrist swivel, and they're stuck in the I need to hold something at all times pose, which is maybe a topic for another day. And then nothing really else. It's a little lackluster in that regard. Once again, it's the same as the head, bare essentials kind of approach. Waist swivel, that works fine. We have blue translucent plastic in the windshield that looks good. Some silver paint down there that looks good. And then the red plastic and blue plastic and white plastic. So all of that works fairly fine. We have some white paint here on the pelvis, and this might be blue paint, or is that a separate piece of? That's a separate piece of plastic. But I think it looks good. Hips, universals, get you pretty much the full Van Damme. The full Monty isn't really possible because of the chunk of the back of his legs and then the front bumper, but you can get the leg forward out on a strong ratchet, hard ratchet, but it is a little inconsistent and it is wide-toothed. Fair amount of hollowness there and there. That doesn't, honestly, it's not one that bothers me a whole lot either. This maybe a little bit. The knee, we got a single hinge that gets you maybe a little shy of 90 degrees, but it's hard because it beats up against all the chunk of the bot. Down here we have silver paint, red paint, silver paint, red paint. The feet. We got nothing for the ankle tilt, but we do have a crazy ankle rocker that should get you everything that you want. And there it is from the back. I'm not sure that that's a good look. So, not the best. But there he is. Let's do some size comparisons. Size comparison, there it is with the Siege Shockwave, so you can see how they kind of scale. And I quite like that. I'm on board. There he is with a previous Voyager and Deluxe. I'm on board with that as well. And there he is with the IDW inspired one. And I will say, like, this thing is a piece of junk. It really is. But this feels much better. However, this kills this in terms of proportions. Now, the arms are too long, obviously, but in terms of like the leg proportions to the chest, it does a much more successful job. To transform this guy, the first thing we got to do is take his clothes off. So open this up, take that off. Huh. Oh, this blue paint on white plastic there. That looks good. I didn't even notice it. Wouldn't have guessed that that was the case, but looks good. And then take this piece off. We have to open up the forearm flaps and take that piece off and that piece off. Ooh, that one's a little stubborn. Open up this chest piece. Take this whole piece off. Good night. And then we take the side pieces off so that you're left with this. Bring the heel spurs out. Untab. Good night. These side pieces, bring this part forward, bring the head out. Bring this back, arms in, push the chest forward, and then this piece slides all the way up, move the chest back to plug it in, bring the pelvis piece forward, flip it around, and put it back, and now you have the kind of white Optimus Prime. And this one, the proportions work much better. I can't help but ask myself if they didn't have this gimmick element to it, if the Magnus would have kind of worked more properly. Because this one isn't perfect either, but it's better. And it's where the shoulders sit. It's the length of the legs in regards to the chest as well. I wish these were a little beefier, but aside from that, it works fairly well. Silver paint on the face, red eyes, blue paint on the face. Translucent blue comes across much better here with the silver detailings underneath, and the marker lights are all painted yellow, I think. And then we have the blue kind of metallic paint down here, which looks quite beautiful. Articulation-wise, everything pretty much works the same, operating off of the same stuff. The only thing that we should really talk about is the head, which is on a ball peg, limited up a good bit down and side to side. And then you have the knee, which works pretty much the same. There's actually not a whole lot of room, even given the backpack where it was, to allow for more articulation. But that's him, and it's interesting. The playability of it is pretty cool. Now let's continue in our transformation. So we're going to open up the shoulders again. We're going to bring the chest piece forward. We're going to fold the head back, plug it back in. We're going to slide the bumper back down. Actually, you know what? Let's push the chest forward. Then we can slide the bumper back down. And we want to spin this whole section around. You can collapse this again. I don't know why that came out. Bring the shoulders around. They plug back into the back of the cab, and then the arms come up and the fist face down. We're going to do that on the other side as well. Arms up, fist down, and then we're going to fold in our heel spurs, fold this down, and I don't know why I thought that they plugged in somehow, but maybe they don't. Is that it? Oof. Let me make sure that that's right, but that doesn't look right, does it? Good grief. I don't know, dude. What is that? Come on now. Come on now, Deluxe. Yikes, let me take a look. So I think that's it, but there's no reason why you can't move the front cab kind of forward a bit, which I do think that looks a bit better. Like, that's how it's used in the more, car carrier mode, I believe. So, yeah, yikes. I mean, I guess E for effort, you know what I mean? Rolls, silver paint on the wheels, which looks nice, and that's about it. Let's get him armored up. So let's prep this stuff as much as we can. So we're going to extend this, and we're going to bring that out so that this is flat. And I'll show it this way so that you can see the back of his head. You take his forearm covers and plug them in just like I'm doing so that they angle towards his head. They don't create like a V for his head to sit in, they create like a mountain peak towards his head. Take your 2 shoulder pads, make sure you're looking at the hollow parts and the gray pieces are connecting. There'll be a white tab that you insert inside of there. Take your legs, peel from the back, and undo this whole section. And you want to do that on both of them. Peel from the back, and then unfurl this whole section. And then you can tab them together. And then here, there's 2 little like tension clips. You're gonna take this piece and insert it in. So, I think I just did that backward. I'm sorry. You're gonna take it, insert it in. You want these pegs up, I believe. Take your extended headpiece. These 2 tabs and this one correspond to 3 slots, and just do the best you can to kind of make that happen, which we've just about got. All right, and now we're ready for business. So we're gonna take this, which is the main connection piece, and we're gonna clip it over these 2 pieces that connected the legs on the Optimus. Once that's in place, you can bring this down, and there's a series of, or it might just be one, let's see here. That will stay in place there. I can't tell you exactly where. Let me see if I can find it. I can't tell exactly where it's connecting. Maybe it's on the sides and with tension. But there you go. And then you wrap these pieces around. And this one, there's like little slots here. There's a clip down here, and all of that will sort of come into place and put everything in the right spot. And we'll just kind of go for it. Let's see, there we go. And there and there. It's got a lot of cleaning to do, and we'll take a look at it. And there it is. And I think it does a pretty good job, honestly, like surprisingly good. There is like some weirdness with just getting all of this to kind of connect properly, but once you do, you should be fine. Rolls like a champ. I think all the detailing's come through well. It's a sizable unit, and I think it looks the part. I'm fairly impressed. Not as impressed as I am with Tiger Tracks, though, who's right there where you can sit him on top. Final thoughts wise, let's talk about the negatives. My biggest issue is mainly the one that's proportion. The bot just looks a little weird to me. Less weird in the Optimus mode, but weird, to be fair, in both. Especially weird in the armored up mode. The other issue that I have is, once again, the weathering of the paint. There's elements of it that are done well on this piece. It's a big piece. There's more room to get it right. And there's also elements of it that are done not so well. It remains something that's hit or miss with them in that regard. Lastly, one of the things that I've noticed with this and also with the Shockwave is just the abundance of gimmicks. Shockwave with all of the weaponry and special modes, and then this one with having the Optimus mode, which, while appreciated, definitely makes it seem like, you know, the practicer of all martial arts should beware the master of one. Like, I think if they would have just really focused on getting the Ultra Magnus right, they really would have knocked this one out of the park. But because maybe they tried to do a little too much, all of the options kind of suffer just a bit for it. It's like when you have Thanksgiving dinner and the turkey's delicious, and the next day you have turkey sandwiches and that's delicious, but then a couple of days later you start doing turkey slaw, turkey salad, like, and it's just like it's this decline in quality of the leftovers, and that's kind of how this guy feels. It's a subjective thing for me, I think, but it is how I regard it. Positives, though, one thing I have to admit straight away is that this figure is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to mess with. It's a lot of fun to kind of go back and forth between all of the things and manipulate it between all of its different modes. Even if the modes aren't entirely successful, I still think it's fairly fun. The painted details that are done on it are beautiful. I really would like to see them do more. Get away from the weathering maybe and just focus on the painting. The sculpt is nice, proportions aside. The materials are kind of what we've come to expect with this line, which is to say they're a bit bulkier. They're a a bit sturdier. They don't feel as wobbly, drop it like it's hot. And with the exception of ankle tilts, it pretty much has everything that you would want in regard to articulation. So in terms of recommendations, a lot of this stuff kind of ends up coming back to the same thing, which is to say, if you're in for the line, I think that you'll be satisfied with this. I don't think it's the best thing they've ever done, but I don't think it's the worst either. If you're not in for the line, there's nothing about this that you're gonna find that spectacular that's gonna make you want to convert and become a Hasbro fanboy. It's just not that cup of tea. Thanks to Ken for letting me take a look at it, and thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.